Hello, BookTube. Earlier today, Michael K. Vaughan made a wonderful video about how print and paper books will always be with us, how wonderful they are in the hand, how perfect they are as a piece of humble technology. And as I was watching his wonderful video, I'll leave a link to it down below, although I'm sure that everyone who watches his channel as well. But as I was watching it, I could feel my bile rising. The very idea of the print and paper book, which I love too. Of course, I have thousands of them here. I have passed millions of them through my hands in the course of my life. But the whole time, all the decades where we were all buying and reading and trading and selling and packing and moving and shelving and unshelving print and paper books, we were irritated. You might not remember it now, but the whole time that we were doing that, and also for centuries before any of us were doing that, readers have been irritated by print and paper books, by their drawbacks. It is easy to call them perfect technology. I've done it myself. The mass market paperback is something approaching a perfect piece of technology. At least it was when it was cheap. The only thing that guarantees, the linchpin that makes a mass market paperback perfect, is that it is the perfect amount of paper and glue and weight and readability to get you through, judged by the price you pay for it. So the minute a mass market paperback becomes $4 or more, they're now $10, that perfection goes away. All of a sudden, you're paying a large amount of money for a crappy product, whereas it wasn't imperfect at all for you to pay a small amount of money for a crappy product. But while I was watching that video, I was thinking about all those irritations, all the irritations that we've all had. You felt them too. You maybe didn't voice them because at the time, in the 70s or the 60s or the 80s, there were no alternatives. But now there is an alternative. Now there are ebooks. Now there's digital reading. And when I was watching Mike's video, I was thinking about print and paper books and all the ways in which they are entirely evil. all the ways in which, all the flaws that we all had to put up with because there was no other game in town. And that now, in the way that human psychology works, we are looking at as benefits, as fondly remembered things, when that isn't what we were feeling at the time. I want to go through 5 of those quintessential evils in this weird response video of mine. And the first one I want to mention, first evil of print and paper books, is how awkward and uncomfortable they are. I will give you an example. Suppose you wanted to read Robert Massey's novel Dreadnought. This is about the years leading up to World War I. It is fantastic reading. It is full of personality and abstruse subjects like naval budgets or high finance in Austria are written in an unbelievably inviting way so that you, okay, wait, here a second. So that you're reading along, turning the pages as if they were, sorry, my hand's a little sore. You're reading along, turning the pages as if this were a novel. And isn't that what we want from a work of history? Sorry. Okay. Wait, that isn't, here, hold on. So when you rest this on your abdomen in order to read another 100 pages, what's that feeling? Does anybody else feel that? Oh, it's a spreading numbness on my rib cage. It was preceded by a huge amount of pain, but I thought that was just a cardiac arrest. But no, it's numbness from this thing. They are awkward and uncomfortable. Print and paper books are awkward and uncomfortable. Evil number 2 is that they take up physical space and gather dust and are an invitation to brown recluse spiders. And if a brown recluse spider bites your hand when you are snaking it in the shelf to pull a book down and read it, the area around the bite is circled by the brown recluse spider's venom causes a firewall around that area that prevents the body's natural defense mechanisms from getting to the area, which starts to rot and suppurate. and is not affected, it is not healed in the rotting and suppurating by the ordinary flow of chemicals and liquids in the body. Essentially, that one area starts to die and cannot be reached by blood or plasma of any kind. It just rots on your hand. And the pain is off the charts unimaginable. That's what happens because of your precious print and paper books. You go to pull down a volume that you haven't pulled down in years, and in the meantime, since you put it up there, a brown recluse spider has made a little home. And 10 generations of these little monsters have bred there. They live on dust mites, so they're well compensated. They don't have to go anywhere. You reach in, or you reach around, you disturb them, they bite you, and suddenly your whole arm is rotting off. How are you printing paper books now? Then there's Unmitigated Evil number 3, which is that print and paper books are fragile. We could go back to Dreadnought, which has a paper dust jacket that is already fraying, and is only going to fray more the more you use the book, or we could go to a trade paperback. Here is The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, in a volume that I really like. I love these old running press paperbacks. I think they're great. But this one is broken. Its spine is broken. One tiny flick of my wrist would make this 2 separate blocks of text. And even less than a flick of the wrist will pull the page of King Richard III right off the book. And then the next page right off the book. And then the next page right off the book. See that? Flat pressed against each other. There's nothing, no tension at all. The only thing that's holding this thing together is the paper of the spine. And that is true not only of a trade paperback that has already broken, but a trade paperback that is certainly going to break. Look at this. This is a fantastic biography of George Bernard Shaw. And I have to be extremely careful with it. I have to hold the spine with my fingers and be extremely careful while I'm reading. No way to do it with one hand because that'll cause it to crack. Instead, I have to be extremely careful, but it doesn't matter how careful I am. Sooner or later, I'm going to read something in here that I want to memorialize, so I'm going to want to put annotations on it. In the tiny amount of space that I get to do that, I'm going to want to annotate something, and when I do that, I'm going to forget to be careful, and that's when another crease is going to happen in the spine. And even if I don't do that, sooner or later, this right here, this inset of pictures, which as you can see is just taped onto the paper of the spine, sooner or later, that is going to cause this thing to crack into a million pieces. And I know that the whole time I'm reading it. Bad enough that I have to live in a world in which it was inevitable that George Bernard Shaw would die. But I also have to live in a world in which this biography of George Bernard Shaw is also going to die. It's not even a question of a paperback that is already broken. It's a question of a paperback that is certainly going to break. Look at all the mass market paperbacks that I have. How many of them are going to survive a read or a reread? But we can move on to Unmitigated Evil number 4, which is that a print and paper book, let's hold up this thing, since it's not 50 pounds. It is definitely destined to crack and break, but at least it's not 50 pounds to hold up. And it's, I think, free of brown recluse spiders. It might not be. I haven't checked every crevice. And it's got a lot of crevices, because that's all it is a collection of crevices. But this book is completely static. It was printed on a printing press and shipped out in a box to a bookstore. And you can't do anything about it. You can write on the pages, you can annotate if you want to risk blowing the spine apart, but that's it. And if you make annotations in this book, well, they're not doing you much good unless you go looking for them. You're going to have to go looking for, where was that? Where did I... Oh, wait, it was about the actress Ellen Terry. Hang on, I can't find my annotation. Let me go to the table of contents. Nice type font there. Okay. Oh, God. There's 200 mentions of her. What was it in connection with? Do I remember roughly what page it was? Oh, my God. This thing is completely static. When you were doing that, when you were having that wasted time and that heartache, it is laughing at you. It could not care less that you want to do those things. Whereas, with this is an Amazon Kindle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. When I am reading a book on this, I do not have that problem. I do not, in fact, have any of the problems that I've mentioned. It's not fragile. It's not awkward to hold. It's not heavy. It's not a place where brown recluse spiders can live and lie in wait to bite my hand and cause it to rot off my body. And if I've annotated a book in here, not only can I send those annotations to my email so that I don't even have to look in the book for them, but if I want to look in the book for them, I can open up the book file and ask it to show me the annotations only. Easy peasy. Two touches of the screen. This thing doesn't care about type font. Suppose there's a type font that I like as opposed to one that I don't like. I can't change it. This is set in its type font. It doesn't care about type size, obviously. Obviously, this is the size here. I'll risk cracking the spine. That's the size that you get on the page. If that's too small, tough. And that is the size that you get in the index. Too small? Too bad. Don't care. Can't be changed. So, if that's uncomfortable for you, you have to bring an aid to this book. You have to squint really hard and join the huge ranks of book readers throughout the last 400 years who have induced premature eye strain by doing exactly that. You either have to squint and crawl over the page, or you have to have a magnifying glass ready, or maybe if you're severely visually impaired, a big plate of magnifying to run the book underneath, 1 paragraph per hour. That sort of thing, to crawl through the text. Either way, no matter what expedient you use, the book is still laughing at you. It could care less whether you want help with that sort of thing or not. Well, that's not true here. The ebooks that I have on this tiny device, metal and glass, that weighs less than anything I've held up so far, can change the type font on any ebook, and it can also change the size on any ebook. The font size. I can change any font size to anything I want. No matter how convenient I want it to be. It's right there. Oh, I put this down wrong and upturned a corner. I set it down wrong. This book is actually in worse shape now than it was when I started this video, merely because I put it down. Also, this thing is static in the sense that it offers you no help whatsoever. It's not here to guide you. It's not going to change. It doesn't care whether you're reading it or not. It doesn't care whether it's open or not. It isn't aware at all. So if you run across, a phrase in a language that you don't know, if you run across a reference to a play by Molière, unless the author chooses to explain it to you, you're out of luck. You will have to put this book down, and obviously you'll have to be careful because you're already bending the spine. You're creasing the cover, you're threatening everything about this thing, and you don't have another. This is it. It's not like you have 10 of these to work your way through. You have to put this thing down very delicately to make sure you don't scuff it or hurt it or destroy it, and pick up another book in order to find out about that play of Molière's and draw the connections. Or you have to face the microtype of the index to see if Molière is cited in there and then go to those citations, hoping that maybe somewhere else in the book you might be able to hunt down what the hell the author's talking about. That is not true here. That is not true with an ebook. I can, what the kids call pressing and holding. I can press and hold a term or an item. I will get a translation of a foreign language. I'll also get probably a window popping up to a Wikipedia entry, in case I want more than just a quick definition, in case I want context. That's all there. That was programmed in. The people who put their expertise to work in making those functions work for you are right here with you in the device. They were trying to anticipate your needs and serve them. And they did a really, really good job. No matter what device you're using, whether it's this, or this, or this, or this. And if you send an ebook to your Kindle account, it shows up on this, and it shows up on this, and it shows up on this, and it shows up on this. No matter what device you reach for, it's there. It's right there. It's not a question of, well, I thought I put it in one place, but I guess it's not there anymore. I thought it was, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not finding it. I'm wishing that I could walk around the shelves and call out for it so it could answer me. But I can't do that. Instead, it's not in multiple places. First of all, like I mentioned, you don't have a long line of copies of this thing in case you destroy one of them. And this is also fragile in a way that the electronic version is not. It might be a faulty file, but there'll be a correct file right down the line that you can get that will be fine forever. And the correct file you'll be able to call up on a dead machine, power up a dead machine that you haven't used in 5 or 6 years, touch that file, and it'll work just fine. Also, this is static in the sense that it doesn't care whether you're reading it or not. Are you comfortable? Well, obviously not, since you had to squint real hard for the type. But what about the ambient light? This needs ambient light. If you don't have another light source, you're out of luck. You can't read this book. That's true even for me. I can read print in what I think most of you would consider complete darkness, but even I can't. There's a limit to that. When there's no light at all, I can't read. Whereas this has a built-in light. And it also varies in terms of its temperature and brightness. So even that, there are technicians right behind saying, how's this? Is that better? I've given you lots of options here. Same thing with this. Same thing with this. Same thing with this. They come with their own light, so I don't have to worry about it. Because it's not static. They're not telling you, F you. You want to read me? So what? I don't care. They're not telling you that. And then the fifth unmitigated evil about print and paper books, these static old relics of the 20th century. The fifth unmitigated evil about them is that they are entirely made of death. They are literally made of death. A whole bunch of living things have to die in order to put this crappy product in your hand. A whole bunch of them do. If it's a leather-bound copy, well, obviously, no one gives leather voluntarily. You don't go to the leather bank and give up an ounce. Obvious, if it's leather, that's obvious. But that's not the only kind of death. There's also the paper. All these things are made of paper. A living thing had to provide that. A living thing had to die in order for that paper to exist. Same thing with the paste that holds this together. It doesn't hold it together very well. It doesn't hold it together very well. The paste job on this is really bad. There's a dot here and a dot there. For the exorbitant amount of money. When this was originally priced in Canada, it was $26. When those 2 dots of paste cost about 13 cents. Even the paste is rendered from animal fat. So even that is death. And even then you're not done because there's still the ink that you're reading on the page. The pigment and the resin of the ink are also made from rendered animal products. Every aspect of this book is made of death. These things are made of death. Death. Whereas these are only made of exploitative mining practices, but not whole forests being put to the sword. Not animals being rendered for every last bit of their body so that you can have the pleasure of reading about George Bernard Shaw. These things are marvels. They solve the problems that all readers had for decades and grumbled about, sometimes to each other. I have many snail mail letters, none from Michael K. Vaughan, but I have many snail mail letters from reader friends where we were just swapping grumbling. It is so annoying that I have to stick my finger down into this thing to remember where I am when somebody comes to the door. Because naturally there's never going to be something around as a bookmark. And I don't want to dog-ear the pages because it might cause the page to crack and break off. This is not delicate. This is not one of a kind. This is not made for shallow or surface level posturing and display. This is entirely private. No one can tell how many books are on this thing. And there can be thousands of books on this thing without straining any bookshelves, without inviting any brown recluse spiders or anything like that, without straining anything, without getting dust everywhere when you move books around, when you rearrange a room, nothing like that. It's all just this. And that's all. And if this isn't to hand, and I feel like reading a book that I have loaded onto one of my accounts, Kobo or Barnes & Noble's Nook or Amazon's Kindle, well, this might be around. Or this might be nearby. Or this might be there. Maybe I'm watching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes for the millionth time. So I'm watching it on this, but the books are all there as well. Same book in many different accounts. Whereas this, I'm under the covers, and bossy little Schnauzer has done the circling event that dogs always do before they're going to sleep, and she has gone to sleep right here on my breastbone. It's no big deal because she weighs nothing at all, but I can't move. Is this within reach? No. No, it never will be. What about this? Is this within reach? Well, who cares if it's within reach? I can't grab it off the floor. It weighs 500 pounds. and it's got this, and it's got a sticker on the front that somebody decided to put there. I didn't want it there. Somebody decided to put there. I can't remove it. It's got a sticker on the back. Can't move that either. Just have to, okay, I guess I'm not in charge of what the thing looks like or format it in any way. I can't swap its cover with anything else. I can't do anything with it. It's telling me, here are all the riches of Araby, but F you if you don't like how I'm presenting them. I'm not going to change. I'm already made the way I am, and I'm never going to change. The only way I'm going to change is to get worse. I'm going to degrade on you. But other than that, I'm not going to change. So if you want me to, tough luck. Whereas this is saying, how may I serve you, master? Which is just what you want your book collection to do. And if this falls on you, you're not going to die. Whereas if your floor-to-ceiling biography bookshelf falls on you, you are going to die. So there you go. There's a kind of a peppy response to a video extolling print and paper books. I extol them too. I have plenty of fondness for the years when we had nothing else. All I want to point out is that there is a psychological process involved here that many people have seen. Look at the surge in people buying vinyl records. Vinyl records sound awful, and they are unbelievably delicate. They are unbelievably fragile, to the point where it's literally the only thing you think about them. You don't even think about the music. You just think about how fragile they are. I have to do everything exactly right, or I will completely destroy this product. People thought the same thing about landline telephones. The hipsters all want the old-style landline rotary telephone. All we did was complain about them at the time. How awkward they are. You get the number wrong. You have to start all over again. Is some aspect screwed on wrong? How hard it is to walk around with it, and it can only go so far. Same thing with photography. I'm sure that you have seen that digital photography services offer a filter that makes the picture look worse. Makes it look grainy and spotty. Because all the young kids are looking at the inconveniences of a previous generation and thinking, oh, that was when it was real. That was when it was real, man. I want this to look like a crappy Polaroid. No, we all thought that was bad. We all disliked those, but there was no other alternative. There was no better mousetrap. This is a better mousetrap. This takes a lot of those problems and just does away with them. Just solves them. That's all there is to it. Just solves them. It has drawbacks, of course. Digital rights management on digital copy makes it way too expensive and not technically your own. There are ways around that. Those ways are well known. There are well-known websites where you can log and store your ebooks that will allow you to change the cover, allow you to take the DRM right off it, allow you to change the book's format, not the type font, but the actual electronic format of the book. People have been addressing the shortcomings of these things for 20 years and working their way around them in a way that you can't do with this. There is no way to work around the shortcomings of this thing. There's no way to change how much it weighs unless you get a digital copy of it. And the same process is happening with books. We now have an alternative, and so we look at the good old days and romanticize all the shortcomings of these things. It feels disloyal to say that our old mass market paperbacks have any shortcomings at all, even when we are wrapping them in rubber bands to keep them from falling into 8 different pieces. That is a shortcoming. Anyway, just a peppy response video. Of course, I want to know. Mike K Vaughan has made his video. Roger Hotep can't make a video about scrolls because he doesn't have any vocal cords anymore. So he can't make a video giving yet a third alternative. But, of course, I want to know, where do you fall on this? Where are you more inclined? I'm sure that you're all readers, so I'm sure that you all have at least a vestigial romantic attachment to print and paper books. This one has been damaged twice in the making of this video, but I'm sure that you have a sweet spot for them. But have these things taken over? A lot of people that I know who have sworn, who have said, no, these things are the way to go. They are the only way of reading. A lot of those people have had a moment, one discrete moment, where they suddenly realized, oh, wait, oh, yeah, this is a lot easier in a lot of ways. All those things that I'm just used to dealing with print and paper books, I don't need to think about here. and just get to the business of reading. Are you one of those people? Or are you steadfastly on team death? I would love to know. Feel free to let me know. I'll leave a link to Mike's video in case you didn't see it, but it's a fun topic. So feel free to make a response video of your own. I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.